So last week, I think it was on Monday, it marked 5 months of me working at my current job. And full transparency, it hasn't been all that bad. Like obviously, going to work is a chore. Like I don't think anybody likes waking up and getting ready for work and driving to work. Like I think no matter what job you work, that process is always going to be a slog. But other than the whole waking up early part, my job is very nice and it's cool. Like I work in healthcare and I like my coworkers. I deal with kind patients for the most part. There's always that odd one out that needs to make a situation more difficult than it needs to. But you're gonna find that I feel like no matter where you go. But it's a good gig. Like I can't pretend that it isn't, especially compared to my last job, which recently I thought about because I met up with an old coworker from that job, and we were talking about what it was like working there, and it made me really want to come on here and talk about it. Because reminiscing on it at that time, truthfully, I think that was my worst job ever, and I've only worked 3 jobs in total, with that being my second. So I don't really have a lot to compare it to, but oh my God, if that job wasn't horrible, then I don't know. You know, my very first job, I worked at a call center. I used to caption or transcribe. I don't know which one to use. I used to transcribe phone calls for hearing impaired people, and I had my own little cubicle, but I had no opportunity to talk to coworkers because since we were transcribing phone calls, confidentiality was a big thing. That company would not shut up about. Every meeting they would mention, "Don't forget about confidentiality," like all that stupid stuff. So like I couldn't be on my phone because they think I'd be taking photos of what's being said. Like for example, if someone said their credit card number, and I wasn't allowed to talk to people next to me, in other cubicles because I had to one focus on the call that I was transcribing, but they also thought that we would be sharing information of what we were hearing, and it was really boring. But a crappy job like that that's mind numbing, I feel like is very standard for a first job for a college student entering the workforce for the first time, you know? So when I had my second job, the job I want to complain about today, it was a huge culture shock. I worked at the airport and I went from not interacting with any clientele to seeing over 100,000 passengers a day. So yeah, like I worked for a security company that helped people expedite their time in line, almost like a fast pass. And these people had to pay a premium to use this service. It was more like a membership, and it was expensive. And I can say now, shamelessly, that it's just a scam of a service. Like I don't even care. I'll say it proudly. That company that I worked for is a scam. It's horrible. But yeah, like when I told people I worked with security, everyone's first assumption was, "Oh, you worked with TSA. Like you must have worked for TSA." And I'm like, "No, like we worked alongside them, like almost TSA adjacent, but like we would screen people, but we wouldn't be yelling at them and patting them down or anything." But that was my first job. I stayed there for about a year and 2 months, and it sucked. My shift would start at 3:45 in the morning, so I would have to wake up like at 2:30 and I would go to bed like at 8, latest 9 if I was feeling rebellious, if I was feeling crazy. And dude, that was just super draining. Like it was such a draining year. Like someone my age at the time should not be working that shift. Like I had next to no social life at that job because I would go to sleep at 8, but really I would have to be in bed by 7 so I can unwind and start getting tired. And by the time I'd be going to bed, all of my friends would either get on the game because they get home late from their job, or hangouts or parties would start at 8, like as I'm going to bed. And it always felt crappy because I would wake up at 2:30, and when I would check my phone to check what I missed throughout the night, I would still see my friends online on Discord in the voice chat playing a game, and I would feel bad that I was missing out. My days off, I catch up on sleep, and maybe I could see my friends like one time out of the week. Like for real, the schedule was terrible. The pay wasn't bad, but and like I was making decent money there. I can't lie. But like at what cost? Because I couldn't enjoy it. The second payday would hit and it was the weekend. I would be sleeping or I was too tired to want to do anything. But yeah, since this membership at my job was expensive, the majority, like at least 70% of the clientele I'd be dealing with was all rich people. Like first class travelers, businessmen, basically just rich important people. And some celebrities. Like, I met some celebrities. Like I met Q from Impractical Jokers, if anyone knows what that show is. Jack Black. I'm sure many more people know who that is. If you want to hear a name you've definitely heard before, like how about Mr. Beast? Like literally Mr. Beast and his little minions, his little goon squad. Like they went through my job. Like I escorted them one time. Like I said, people of importance. So since that's my clientele, they just all had the worst possible ego. Like not the celebrities I mentioned, like they were all cool, but everyone else, oh my god. Like I've never seen adults complain over the most minor inconveniences. Like people that viewed workers as just objects and people they can just disrespect and talk down to. Like I'd be polite, say good morning, and they either just flat out ignore me, not even look me in the eye, or they literally just tell me to talk less and just do my job, blaming me for things I can't control, mistakes that they make. Somehow they twist it to make it look like I'm the one that messed up. Like it's crazy that these are grown adults treating people like that. Like they would print out like a boarding pass and they would get the like it would be like a wrong gate, the one that like they need to then the one that they need to go to, and they blame me. I'm like, why are you blaming me? Like that's your fault. Like you're the one that booked it. I don't know why you're blaming me. Like my eye is twitching right now because like you can't see me right now, but like just thinking about that, like I'm going crazy over here. But I dealt with those kinds of people for a whole year. It was an overwhelming year. Like I went from a job that interacted with nobody to a job where I dealt with thousands of people in one shift. Like the only saving grace from that job was the money and the people I worked with. Like if not for them, I would not have lasted as long as I did. But as I sit in my job now and I have much more time to just take a breather and just think, I think about my old job and how much I endured. Like I said, that was the first time I worked a job that extreme, that fast paced, and it changed me. Like I was very quiet, introverted person at the time. I wasn't confrontational at all. I just rolled with the punches and went about my day. But literally, it got to a point where I had to fight back and argue back with these rich freaks. Like, I had to talk to them like they were children, so they would quit crying over the smallest things. Like, it's not my fault that you couldn't find parking. Like, I literally just work here. But I developed a lot of patience and a tolerance for useless garbage that I didn't deserve. But that tolerance helped because I could have easily fell apart without it. I envy people that started a job, that started at one job and stayed at the same one forever and just moved up. But I also, now as time passed, I'm appreciative of that awful job that I had. I met different kinds of people. I learned how to interact with all sorts of people. And socially, I feel like that helped me outside of work once I finished there. I hope everyone gets a job that they like and aren't at a job that they hate out of desperation with no way out. But if you are, like if you see yourself working a job that you hate, I would say move with a little bit more intentionality because you'll notice changes in your attitude and in your character working at that terrible job. But all you need to do for that time being is just dig through all the smut that you're enduring and find something positive in all that is stirring in you, like that resentment. Like there could be something there because I'm a genuine believer in seeing the good in the bad. Like, I know me personally, I don't see the good until well after the fact, but that doesn't mean that the good was never there from the beginning. You know what I mean? And I think crappy jobs build character. And I'm not trying to say that nobody should have it easy from the beginning and we should all have at least one bad job, but I don't know. I feel like it's an inevitability at some point in our lives, especially the first few jobs while we're young and don't have any certifications for the higher paying ones. So if it does happen, if you do see yourself in that position of a terrible job, don't run away the minute it gets hard. Like if it's actually harming you and you see that you're losing yourself to this job and it's a detriment, then yes, leave. But if you see the issue is just laziness within yourself and a lack of discipline and the job not being what you thought it would be like, I would say just power through. Take what you can get from that season of your life and wait for an opportunity to present itself, and then you can jump ship. Like, I know for me, sharing what I've learned and what experience I've gained from a horrible job that I had, it scored me a ton of points in my interview for this job that I currently have now. Like, I'm telling you, like, you can develop stories, you can develop different viewpoints, perspectives that when you're interviewing with a new employer, you can really impress them with just exactly how much you know and how far you're willing to go because you've had that experience. Like all I would say is go easy on yourself, take it slow, and just let the natural flow of events do its thing. Like that's the most I can really say. I just wanted to talk about my crappy job and what I learned from it and hopefully share a different perspective to whoever is listening that may also be at a job that they hate. But yeah, thank you for listening. Have a good day or evening whenever you see this, and be well.